So we are on the the second wide line, speaking about how they would divide up the different inheritances. In the middle, we mentioned that they would use both the lottery system and they would use the Urim and Tumim, the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol. And you would mention he would consult with the Urim and Tumim about which tribe gets which portion, and lo and behold, he would choose those exact portions out of the two boxes. So, okay. So now the last two words of the first wide line. So the splitting of the land. Interestingly to know, there's going to be a new splitting when Mashiach comes of Eretz Yisrael, but it's going to be a little bit different than our splitting. I'm sorry. So the pardes ein lo stay lavan. So in this world, you have different kinds of fields. Some are, to grow wheat, and some are orchards. But lolam haba ein lecha kol echad ve'echad she'ein lo bahar u'b'shvela u'b'emek. When Mashiach comes, there's going to be not one person who's going to be missing out land in shvela, in a har, in a mountain. B'shvela is lower down, and an emek is in a valley. Sounds like three different climates where one could grow a variety of different fruits, vegetables, grains. So even though in this world, some people get the orchard and some people get the wheat fields, but when Mashiach comes, it's not going to be like that. Everyone's going to get a portion in those three areas: a mountain, somewhere lower down, and an emek. Yeah. Okay. So Shinamar, how do I know this? So the verse says in Yecheskel. So it says, "V'shari ha'ir al shmos shiftei Yisrael, sha'arim shlosha tzafona sha'ar Ruven, the gate of Ruven, echad, sha'ar Yehuda echad, and sha'ar Levi echad." So what does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu mechalik lehen ba'atzmo. Hashem Himself is going to divide up the different parts of the Shvatim and give each person their own gate. So the Rashbam points out that it says that when Hashem is dividing up the different tribes of Israel, so it says Sha'ar Ruvain Echad and Sha'ar Yehuda Echad. So the Rashbam said it sounds like Ruvain's portion will be equal to that which the other person gets, meaning each person will get an equal portion to everyone else. They'll have a part. So the Gemara just filled in that they'll have a part in the mountain and in the lower down and in the valley. So we don't really see from the pasuk those three, that you'll get a portion in those three, but we do see that you'll get an equal amount, as opposed to someone getting an orchard or someone getting a field of harvest. Okay, and Hashem Himself will divide it up. How do we know? Shinamar, ve'elam achlakosam ne'um Hashem. That the word of Hashem is going to be what divides it up. So we're not going to have to go through the Kohen Gadol and the lottery system. Hashem Himself will tell each person, this is for you, and this is for you, and this is for you. Okay, so what to look forward to, yeah? So, but we brought this all, as nevertheless we taught, but we had a question, right? The last line of the previous Amud wanted to know, do you divide up Eretz Yisrael in 12 portions, the 12 tribes? Then they divide it up to all of their tribes, or you divide it up in 600,000 parts. So on that we said, look, you see from this brisa that it's divided up into 12 parts. Each tribe got their part. Yeah. Shema Mina. Okay, so Shema Mina, l'shvativ iflok Shema Mina. So you can conclude nice and confidently that the way Eretz Yisrael was divided up was in 12ths, and then each tribe divided up accordingly to their, to the people of their tribe. Okay, so now Amar Mar, we just mentioned Asida Eretz Yisrael shetichalik l'shlosha asar shvatim. We said earlier that Eretz Yisrael, when Mashiach comes, will be divided up into 13 sections. So idach laman, Who gets the 13th section? Maybe Jules. Let's see what it says.
Yeah, maybe I get it.
Yeah, maybe you get it. So, Idach Laman, Amar of Chista, Le Nasi. Le Nasi, to the Nasi. However, the Rashbam says Le Nasi here means Le Melech HaMashiach, the leader. Melech HaMashiach will get the 13th portion. Dichsiv, as we say in Yechaskel, V'ha'oved ha'ir ya'avduhu mikol shiftei Yisrael. So the Oved Ha'ir, the one who's going to serve the city, Ya'avduhu, so they will serve him. so Ha'oved Ha'ir, the one who serves the city, so who's that? So the Rashbam says, the one who serves the city, that's the leader of the people, because he's, so to speak, considered like the servant of the city, meaning not that he does whatever they want, but the ABCs of a servant is that he has the yoke of his master upon him. So too, the ABCs of a leader is that he feels and he has the yoke of the people upon him. Right? That's a leader who doesn't feel any yoke of the people and doesn't have any responsibility, probably should reconsider his profession. so Ya'avduhu, so they're going to serve him. How are they going to serve him? Says the Rashbam, they're going to give him a part of Eretz Yisrael. That'll be their way of serving him. So Amalei Rav Papa Abaye. Rav Papa says to Abaye, hold on, Ema Runga Bra'alma. Maybe it doesn't mean that they're going to give him a part of Eretz Yisrael. Rather, maybe they're just going to give him literally cleaning help. They'll hire for him servants. He'll have all the stuff in his house figured out. That's all it means, that they're going to serve him. The word "they will serve him" is vague. So how do you know it means they're going to give him land? Maybe it's going to be they're going to hire people for him. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So we're going to have another verse now. It's going to shed light on this verse. So no, lo sakadaitak. Don't think that it means just he'll get people to work for him. We'll give him people to work for him. Why? Dechsev, as it says again in Yechaskel, v'hanosar lenasi mizeh umizeh l'trumas hakodesh l'achuz ha'seir. So the verse there talks about that the nasi Mashiach will get more than other. The remainder, the extra portion will go to the nasi. So one second. Yeah. So the Rashbam explains that it means is he's going to get a portion. The Trumas HaKodesh means aside from the portion he's going to get, which is the base of Mikdash. Apparently, Melech Mashiach gets that's his portion too, the portion of the base of Mikdash. And aside from the Achuz Ha'ir, aside from a part of the city that he's going to get a portion of Eretz Yisrael. So you see from that verse that aside from the base of Mikdash and sounds like part of the city, I guess it means Yerushalayim, he's also going to get another portion of land, the same way the other 12 tribes got. So once you have this pasuk telling me that, so then you can interpret the other verse accordingly. That it also means that they're going to serve him, meaning they're going to give him a piece of land. It's interesting because I think the base of Mikdash falls in the portion of Binyamin. Part of it. I guess what? Not the base of Mikdash part. I think Yerushalayim's in the portion of Binyamin, no?
Yeah, but I think the Kodesh Kanashim. In Yehuda. Part of it's in Yehuda, part of it's in Binyamin. I don't think
that's interesting. Each tribe is going to give them part of their portion, but aside from that, he gets in the base of Mikdash. That's also someone's. I mean, they're also giving up in a certain way. Okay. So now we mentioned originally that the verse says that the tribes are going to get. Some will get a lot and some will get a little. And our first understanding was that it doesn't mean that they're going to get different quantity of land. It just means that in Yehuda, for instance, more south is better land than up north. So the difference in quality, they'll get paid off. So you'll give so if one piece of land by you is worth $100, but by me, one piece of land is worth $500, I'll pay you $400 extra, that difference. So now we're going to retract that understanding. We said it's divided up according to kesef, ksaf and kesef, according to money, meaning we're going to pay off the guy with the lower quality land. Shenamar, how do I know bein rav lema'at? Figure out the difference between a lot and a little, meaning figure out the qualitative difference between the guy that got a good portion and the guy that got a less good portion and pay him off. So lemai, what does that mean? So ilema le shufra lesanya, if it means shufra means like a good piece of land, lesanya means a hated part of land, meaning a less good part of land. So then says the Gemara, it says, Atu bishuftani askinan. Are we dealing with fools? They're just going to accept the money and forever get an inferior part of Eretz Yisrael. That's not a good deal. A one-time few $100 and forever it's inferior. So it's almost like Asaph. Right? He sold his future spiritually for immediate here and now. Yeah. Ella, what it means is krova v'rechoka. That's what Steve was not showing off, just pointing out on Shabbos, that it means krova u'rechoka. It means they're going to have the land that's closer or farther from Yerushalayim. Mm-hmm. Now, the Rishbam points out that there's two gains in that. So first of all, you're closer to Yerushalayim, so you can go up on the festivals. So that's one gain. The other reason, because the farther you are from Yerushalayim, the more you're closer to the border of other countries. And better not to be on the border of other countries. Very
more days.
For nowadays. It makes, the borders are the one that so we see, even when the land was divided up, it knew already we're going to have issue between our neighbors on the borders. So so that's what it meant, that people are going to get the land that's going to be farther or closer to Yerushalayim. And then what? And then they'll still get paid off? I think so. Meaning, and then I think you will give them money, but it's not any more inferior land. It's not as good. Not that it's bad. It's not hated land. It's just not as good land. Okay. So now we say kitanoi. Kitanoi. This seems to be a dispute amongst the Tanaim. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Biksafim He'elua. Rabbi Eliezer says that they paid off the difference financially between the part that was closer or the part that was farther. Okay. Rabbi Yeshua Omer, Bikarka He'elua. That instead of paying off with money, they paid off with land. So if your land was inferior,
and more.
So yes, like I get a little more land, exactly. Okay, fine. So that's that. Now, we also mentioned that the land was divided up with a go-roll, with a lottery. Be'ez Hashem, if you remind me, by Purim time, there's a lot about lotteries that's spoken about. Why did they do a lottery? Just go to each tribe, see how many people they have. Larger tribe gets more. You can divide it up. Mm-hmm. Right? Why do you need a lottery? But there's what to say about a lottery. Okay, just Purim time. Okay, so let's see. So how do I know? So it'll only be through a lottery. So Tana ach begoral, it says only through a lottery, but ach, the word ach is usually excluding something. So who are you excluding? Ach begoral. Yatsu, we're excluding Yehoshua v'Kalev. Excluding from what? Lemai. What are you excluding Yehoshua and Kalev for? Ilema de lo shakal klal. Maybe they're excluded entirely from the inheritance, from getting a portion of Eretz Yisrael. So that can't be. Hashta delav to do shakal didhu mibai. We said earlier that Yehoshua and Kalev, two of the spies, got 10 other spies' land. Those other 10 spies lost a portion of Israel. And Yehoshua and Kalev got a portion. So they got someone else's portion, but their own portion they're not going to get. So they're obviously not excluded from their own portion of Israel. Ella shelo natlu begorel, ella al pi Hashem. Well, so they did not receive land through a gorel, through a inheritance. Rather, they received it through Hashem, al pi Hashem. Yeah. So it's interesting. I don't have exactly. I mean, it sounds like either it singles them out as they're different than everyone else. But I was thinking that there's a Gemara in another place that says that there were different people who tasted a taste of the next world. Such a Gemara. So I was thinking maybe that Hashem only gives a portion of Israel out directly when Mashiach comes. Right? That's we just learned, not through so maybe somehow Yeshua and Kollel, they lived more in that next world, meaning they were on a higher level. So that's why they were rewarded through that. I don't know though. Ela al pi Hashem. So Yoshua dichsev al pi Hashem nosnu lo eseir asher sholas timna sarach v'har Ephraim. So the verse says in Yoshua. So Hashem's going to give me al pi Hashem. Hashem will give me the land. Nosnu lo eseir asher sholas timna sarach. It's the city asher sholas timna sarach. That was borrowed from Timna Sarach. V'har Ephraim on Har Ephraim, and v'yivnes. We're going to build a city over there. V'yashev ba. Okay, turning the page. So this verse seems to contradict itself. It says the word Serach, and it also says the word. This word said Ksiv Serach. The Ksiv in Shoftim, the word Cheres. Now. So cheres is earthenware. How do they change it? Sarah. Fruitful? Sarah. Okay. So
it's a literal.
Sarah. Okay.
It's a transliteration. They didn't do a translation, they did a transliteration.
Got it. 1 second. I guess we're going to see now. So it sounds like we describe the land of Yeshua in one place as Serach and in one place as Cheres. In Yeshua it's called Serach, and in Shoftim it's called Cheres. So what does that mean? In the beginning, its fruit are going to be like earthenware. So, not so much. Oh, sorry. It's going to be good. No, they're going to be bad. Dry and old like a cheres. It's going to be dry without any moist to it. Ulubasov, that's what it is. Ulubasov peiroseha masrichen. The word serach from going spoiled. Why there's going to be so many of them, there's going to be an abundance of them, that they're going to be spoiled. So it's saying that don't worry, even what you see now is not so good, but what you see now is not indicative of what's going to be tomorrow. In fact, don't worry, today it's not going to be bad fruit, but in the future it's going to be so much fruit that's going to be there. It's going to be overflowing and even go bad. The Rambam says it's going to go bad from all the oils, like as the moist that because you're keeping the fruit from for too long, because you have so much fruit, you can't get rid of all of it. Some say differently. Originally, when you get the land, it's going to be so much. You'll have extra, and it's going to spoil. Well, okay, here we're going to flip it. Originally, it's going to be really so much moist on it that it wasn't guarded well, and it's not a good thing. But at the end, it's going to be taken care of more properly. It won't be this, overly oily, going bad fruit. Rather, it'll be good fruit. It'll be exactly the amount you need to put into your storage place, and it'll last for a long time. Either way, right now it's going to be less good, but later it'll be much better, and then you can interpret those verses accordingly. Okay, so that's how Yoshua got land al pi Hashem. Kollel dichsiva, the Kollel as Chevron. Kollel got Chevron. Kasher diber Moshe. The Yoresh Misham as Shlosha b'nei ha'anak. So Kollel got Chevron, and he inherited Shlosha b'nei Anak, 3 of the children of the giants. I'm assuming it means their land.
He drove them out.
He drove them out. Oh, Yoresh is driving them out. Okay, good. Thank you. He drove out these giants that were there. Now, don't forget that Kollel was the one when they went out with the spies. He took a pit stop in Hebron to daven by the cave of by Mar Samach, by where Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov and Sarah Rivka and Leah are buried. Adam and Chava, right? So he went to that tomb to pray for them, to pray for success, right? Yoshua got an extra letter added to his name, and Kollel went off to pray. Why didn't Kollel get an extra letter, and why didn't Yoshua go and pray? We have to wait till Parsha Shlach. Yeah. So, but it's interesting that he got that land. It says the Gemara, one sec, Hebron ir miklat have. That's interesting, I never knew this. Hebron is one of the cities of refuge.
Again.
Yeah, it's like interesting. Yeah, so that's one of the cities of refuge. So that's what Kollel got.
These days.
Right. So Hebron ir miklat have. So, but it's ir miklat. That's not what Kollel got. So we say you're right. Rad Amar Abai, he got the parvaha. Sounds like the outskirts, the surrounding parts of Hebron. That's what it means. Right, the stay ear, the fields of the city sounds like more the outskirts, the courtyards of the city. I mean the parts that are outer, the outer parts of the city, or the surrounding parts of the city. Nasnu l'Kollel ben Yefuna va'achuzaso. Kollel ben Yefuna got in his inheritance. The Ir Miklat was given to maybe you'll ask, so why can't he get one of the cities of refuge? That's his portion. I don't know, tough luck. But it says in Yeshua that was given to the Bnei Aaron, HaKohanim. That it was the cities of refuge were giving to them. Yeah. Okay. So that's why it wasn't available to be given to Kollel. Okay, we made it. The next mission.
Yeah.
Good job. So Echad haben ve'echad habas b'nachala. We're gonna have a cryptic first sentence with 4 interpretations of what it means. So Echad haben ve'echad habas b'nachala. So a son and a daughter share something in common by some kind of inheritance in some situation. Or rather, the difference is she'aben notel pishnayim b'nichsei ha'av, that the son will take a double portion of his father's inheritance, inheritance. But he will not get a double portion in terms of his mother's inheritance, only his father's inheritance. The habanos and the daughters, the habanos nizonos menichse ha'av, the eino nizonos mi nichse ha'em. So in general, we're going to see this, I guess, in like 16 daf, but someone who dies and leaves over children. So at a time where he has it's a very big inheritance. So then what happens is the sons inherit it, but the daughters need to be sustained through that inheritance. Yeah, like this. So if you have a very big inheritance, the sons receive what they should receive, but make sure as part of the ksuba that the daughters have to live off it also. If you have a very small inheritance, so then the daughters get first. They get sustained off that inheritance, and the sons have to go begging.
But from the father, not from the mother.
Right, from the father, not from the mother. Right. Yeah. Okay, we'll see more about this later. So now, what does this mean? The son is one and the daughter is one for their inheritance. What does that mean? So so maybe you'll say what it means is they both get an equal portion in the inheritance. Well, we know that's not true. Hatnan learned in the Mishnah that ben kodin labas, that a son precedes the daughter, and kol yotzei reicho shel ben kodin labas, and all the offspring of the son also precede the daughter in terms of their inheritance. So Amar of Nachman bar Yitzchak, Hachikar. This the first interpretation is as follows: Echad ben ve'echad habas notlin bera'ui ki b'mozak. So both the son and the daughter, the similarity is they both inherit notlin bera'ui ki b'mozak. They're able to inherit things that should have gone to their parents as if it was already by their parents. They're able to inherit bera'ui just like moksak. As an example, so let's say so let's say we're talking about, right, there's no children now, but there's the grandchildren. So So meaning the parents died in the life of their parents. So you have grandparents, children, and grandchildren. So the parents died in the life of the grandparents, and now the grandchildren are going to inherit, right? So they're going to inherit what should have gone to their parents. So if the grandparent would have died first, then their parents would have inherited. So let's say, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, just for simplicity's sake. If you have a family of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Avram was the grandfather, Yitzchak was the son, and Yaakov was the grandson. So if Avram died and then Yitzchak died, so everything Avram had passed over to Yitzchak. But if Yitzchak died before Avram, so there's the land that he should have gotten if his father would have died first. So maybe you'll tell me that the similarity is that the grandchildren, the grandsons and the granddaughters, they are going to inherit the grandfather, biroi, just like muhzak. So, and maybe that's the novelty of our Mishnah. So, says the Gemara, though, we learned that already. Hanami tanina, benos slavchad, natlu shlosha chalakim benachala. The benos slavchad, they took already 3 portions. The Mishnah told us. We know it's really 4 portions because they had that extra uncle that we proved died. But the Mishnah said it was 3 portions. Shlosha chalakim benachala. So chelek avihen shahaya miyotze mitzrayim vechalko im echav minichse chefer. So we know that there was they took their father's portions and they took already the grandfather's portions. Minichse chefer. So the daughters of Tzlavchad also took that which was fitting to go to Tzlavchad in terms of what he would have received from chefer. So even though Tzlavchad never got it, however, what he would have got, the daughters got. So we already have this idea that a granddaughter will get what the father should have gotten. So you don't need this Mishnah to tell me that. Yeah. So that can't be the interpretation of the Mishnah. So if all you want to tell me is that a grandson or a granddaughter will inherit what their parents should have gotten, so we know they're ready from the Benot Slavchad. The Benot Slavchad, well, they got what should have gone to their father. Yeah, now the Rishon points out that the point is that the Mishnah doesn't differentiate the portions. The Mishnah, our Mishnah with Benot Slavchad, didn't differentiate who died first, Hefer or Slavchad. But it just says they get these portions. They get the portion of of when Hefer died, they get all of his inheritance, meaning they share his inheritance with Slavchad's brothers, and whatever Slavchad got, they're going to get also. But the response says the Mishnah doesn't differentiate. That's only in a case if Hefer died first. Sounds like from the Mishnah that whether Hefer, the grandfather, died first, or whether Tzlavchad died first, the daughters received the same inheritance. So from there you see that whether it was fitting to go to the father or it already went to the father, the granddaughters will still inherit it. So that can't be what this Mishnah is teaching us. Another question is, Mai Ella. So according to this, you've answered the first line of the Mishnah that they have something in common. What's the Ella? But the son receives double. We're not talking about a double portion right now. What does it mean? The son receives double only from the Nichsei Av. So the Ella doesn't fit into this interpretation. Yeah. So Ella Amar of Papa. This is what the Mishnah means. Ella Amar of Papa Hachi Kamar. Echad ben ve'echad bas notlin chelek bebechora. Both a son and a daughter will get a portion of the firstborn, of the bechora. One second. Yeah, so we're also talking about a case right now where there's no son to get the firstborn, right? So you're back to the grandchildren. So, right, so just like when there's no son to inherit the firstborn, so the grandchildren, just like they get a regular portion of the firstborn, they're also going to get a portion, the double portion. So So hanami tanina v'shahaya bechor notel shnei chalakim. So we had the same thing with Slavchad. Slavchad was a bechor, and the grandchildren got his double portion. The Beno Slavchad got the double portion. So the Od Mai Ella. We still don't know what that Ella in the Mishnah is doing. So first of all, what you taught is repetitive, and second of all, what does Ella mean? Because the Ella in our Mishnah says that the son takes a double portion from his father's inheritance, not from his mother's inheritance. But if the first line of the Mishnah is talking about the grandparents, so we're not talking about the father and the mother. So just it's like veering off. It's not the same. It doesn't flow in the sentence. You get a portion of the grandparents, except that you get a double portion of your father. But we're not talking about father and mother. We're talking about the grandparents. So the Ella doesn't make sense either. So third try. Ella maravashi hachikamar. Echad ben bein habanim, ve'echad bas bein habanos. So now you have you're giving your portion over to your sons, or there's no sons and you're giving it to your daughters, and you want one of them to get everything. So im Amar, if the father says Yaresh kol nechasai dvarev kayamin, if as long as you are somebody who's fitting to inherit, the father can give you the whole inheritance. So let's say you have a bunch of sons. You want one son to get everything. So as long as he was fitting to inherit something, he's now allowed to take everything, if that's what the father said. Or if you have daughters, only daughters. So instead of splitting with the daughters, you can give it to one daughter, the whole inheritance. And the other ones will unfortunately lose out. So who does this go like? Kiman ki Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. This goes like the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, who says the same thing later on. So says the Gemara, but Hakatani la kaman. You told us later on, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka Omer, he says the following: Im Amar al Misha Roy Liyorsho Dvarav Kayamin, al Misha Ein Roy Liyorsho Ein Dvarav Kayamin. You can only say this rule that a father can give inheritance only to somebody who's fitting to inherit. So, okay, let's say a son and a daughter, and the son is going to inherit everything. You can't go and give the whole inheritance to the daughter, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. I'm just wondering now, does the same apply to a firstborn? So if you have a bunch of sons, so the sons are going to inherit something. If you're going to give the whole portion to the middle son, so then the firstborn, that middle son never was fitting to inherit the firstborn. So Rabbi Yochanan, I guess we have to wait till we get to later to talk about this more. Daf Kuflam. But what he's saying is, if you have a son and a daughter, and the son's going to inherit, you can't give the whole inheritance to the daughter. If you have many sons, you can go and give the inheritance to the one son. So that was the halacha of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, in 7 daf from now. So says the Gemara. So v'chitema, maybe you'll tell me that it doesn't bother us that it's repetitive, because sometimes our Mishnah didn't mention the name of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka; it just said it anonymously. But sometimes when a Mishnah says things anonymously, it does it on purpose to show you that this is who the halacha accords with. So sometimes instead of mentioning the name of the person, they'll just do it anonymously. And the point is that, so at least in one place, Rashi says, the point is you'll think it's like a majority opinion. Since you didn't mention the name, Rav Meir, Rav Yehuda, Rav Shimon, you mentioned anonymously, people will think it's like the majority opinion, right? It was done by Rabbi Yehuda Nasi on purpose because he felt the halacha was according to that individual. So same thing over here. So maybe you'll tell me that's what our Mishnah did. They made our Mishnah an anonymous opinion, which accords with the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. So says the Gemara, but then what's going to happen? You have one Mishnah, our Mishnah, telling us anonymously the halacha of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, and later on you have a machlokes about this rule. You have another opinion there, and then the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. And the general rule is stam v'yachak machlokes stam v'yachak machlokes. It's going to come out. It's going to be anonymous, followed by a Mishnah that brings a debate about this exact topic. So what's wrong with that? Stam v'yachak machlokes ain halacha kistam. When you have an anonymous Mishnah followed by a Mishnah with a argument, so then the halacha no longer accords with the anonymous Mishnah. So I don't know if the response says it here, but if you think about it, when Rabbi Dovid was writing the Mishnayos, so the rule is if he writes it anonymously, so he felt that that's who the halacha is like. Yeah, general rule. If the next Mishnah he brings this exact topic and he brings two opinions about it, right? So now you can easily say that he doesn't think the halacha is like that anonymous Mishnah. Because look, he brought another Mishnah with the name of the person as a machlokas. So in terms of how we pass in the halacha, stam bi'achak machlokas, halacha does not accord with the stam. Va'od, once again, ma'i ella, that ella is not going to fit. Because the first line of the Mishnah will be, when a father tells one son that it's all yours, or tells a daughter it's all yours, so it goes to that child. Rather, a Ben gets a little portion of his father, not of his mother. So it's not the same sentence. So, fourth time, and hopefully this will be the final time. So, va'od ma'i ella. Ella Amar Mar bar Ravashi, Mar the son of Ravashi says the following. Hachi Kamar. Echad ben the echad bas shavin b'nichse ha'im. Both a son and a daughter, they share a portion in the inheritance of their mother. They have an equal portion in the inheritance of their mother. Okay. Shavim b'nichse ha'im. Okay. U b'nichse ha'av. Right. So when it comes to the inheritance of their of their mother, so then, or their father, so then they are. 1 second. Echad ben ve'echad bas shavim b'nichse ha'im u b'nichse ha'av. They both get an inheritance of whether it's their mother's portion or their father's portion. Rather, Ella, the one difference is shahaben notel pishnayim b'nichse ha'av. The son will get a double portion in the inheritance of his father. The Eino notel pishnayim b'nichse ha'ein. This is talking about where there's no son. It's the grandchildren again?
No, it doesn't take the double portion. His mother's estate.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so the Ram points out the only difference between a mother's estate and a father's estate is one is the Bechora, right? One is the Bechora, that's only from the father's estate. And two is which is the last part of the Mishnah, the daughters only get fed. They live off of the father's estate, not the mother's estate. Okay, fine. Yeah. So now, yeah. Okay. Tana Rabbanan. So after a nice technical amud, we're going to have a lot of Sefer Bereshis is going to be reviewed on the next amud. Yaakov and Esav, Reuben and Yosef. Yeah, a whole long amud. Maybe a whole daf even. So, okay, let's see. Tana Rabbanan, La Seislo Pishnayim. The verse tells us in Devarim that a Bechor, that it's talking about a man marries two wives, one he hates, one he loves. So if the firstborn is the one from the wife he hates, so then he has to give him a double portion. So Tana Rabbanan, La Seislo Pishnayim. So it says Pishnayim ke echad. So now, the double portion that the firstborn gets, how does he get it? Does he get it? He gets whatever the other brother gets. He gets double of that. Or you look at the whole estate. He takes 2/3. He takes double of the whole estate. So you divide up the estate, and he'll get 2/3 of the whole estate, and the other third will be divided up with the rest of the brothers. So it says Lase Slo Pishnayim. Says the Gemara Pishnayim ke'echad. He gets 2 portions corresponding to one of the brothers. So if there was 5 brothers, so you would divide up the land if there's 5 brothers in 6 portions, right? So if you have a piece of land and you have 5 sons, so now those 5 sons divide up the land into 6 portions. Firstborn gets 2 of the portions, and the rest of the brothers will get the other 4 portions. That's a double portion. So I guess like when you go to a pizza place, right? So I used to work at a pizza place for like, I don't know, 10 years, 8 years. So before they cut it up, right? It's one big circle. And how do you divide that up? So you look at the family and you see they have, one kid's the bechor. So, you cut it up, but you tell them, he gets these 2 pieces, right? And everyone else gets only one. So same kind of idea. So ata omer pishnayim ke'echad. So you want to tell me pishnayim ke'echad? O einu ela pishnayim b'chol nechasim. Maybe it's pishnayim from the whole portion, from all the nechasim. So the firstborn will get literally 2/3 of the whole estate. Great deal. So, and now we're going to go back and forth about this. So v'dinhu that chelko im echad, v'chelko im chamisha. So it's logical that when it says he gets double portion, it's going to be corresponding to his other brother, not of the whole estate, and he'll split it with the other 5 brothers. Ma chelko im echad pishnayim ke'echad, af chelko im chamisha pishnayim ke'echad. Just like when you have 2 brothers, so one brother gets, double the amount of the corresponding brother. So too, when you have 5 brothers, the brother will get the corresponding amount of the other brothers. So says the Gemara, okay, that's one way to look at it. Why don't you look at it from a different perspective? Yeah. See, the more Gemara people learn, the more they can view things from 2 perspectives, and not only one perspective. So o klacha derech zu, chilko im echad, v'chilko im chamisha. You split with 1, you split with 5, same thing. Ma chelko im echad pi shnayim b'chol nechasim. When you have only one brother, you're going to get literally 2/3 of all the nechasim. Af chelko im chamisha pi shnayim b'chol nechasim. So too, when you split with 5 brothers, maybe you should do the same thing. You should take 2/3 of all the nechasim. So we say no. Talmud Lomar, the verse tells us, this verse by the 2 wives, the hated one and the loved one, that the hated one gets pi shnayim. Talmud Lomar b'haya b'yom hinchilu as banav. So the Rashbam points out this verse is a little bit extra. So it's to teach you haTorah ripsa nachla eitzel achin. Hayom, it says b'yom hinchilu as banav. So when you give the inheritance over to the children, so ripsa nachla, it added this verse to tell you what, that you shouldn't get a double portion in all the nechasim, when there are, 2, 3 or more brothers. Rather, you should get double corresponding to the brother. Okay, now we're going to bring one of these, like 3 more proofs for this. And then the rest, Amud's going to ask why you have to have 3 or 4 proofs. I'm saying because each one we brought could have been refuted in a certain way. And that's where Reuben